time to hear from me. Hopefully this cough is going to stop. I apologize for that. It's been driving me nuts the last few days. So what I want to talk about now, and this is something that applies equally no matter which of our divisions that you happen to be in, and that's complete protection. And when I think about the term complete protection, which is something we've been talking about for the last year or so, I know that it really can mean different things to different people. But in my opinion, what it really boils down to is making sure that you get the most coverage possible for the expenses that are most likely to be incurred. It's pretty simple as that. Next. When it comes to marketing, selling, there's really 5 essential elements in properly delivering an effective message. You need the right product, and any complete package of protection is certainly going to include a health plan, whether it's an HSA for people under 65, a Medigap, Plan F or G, Medicare Advantage. So that's going to be part of your package all the time. In addition to having the right products, you need to have the right audience. Somebody that's shopping, needs to buy something. We got that taken care of for you, fortunately, because people are coming and asking us for our help. You got to have the right message also. So it's very important how you craft what you say to the prospects that you're talking to. If you don't deliver your message properly, you're not going to be very effective in this business. Number 4, you have to have the right quantity. And that means offering the right mixture of products for people. And when it comes to quantity, you need to start high. You can always pull products out of a package. It's a whole lot more challenging to start off offering somebody a health plan and then go start adding stuff on later. So let's start with an entire package of protection. You can always remove pieces if the dollars aren't there for people. And then number 5, of course, I'm sure some of you are sitting there thinking, well, damn, Fred, this package is going to cost too much for people that don't have any money. So the 5th key element is making sure that you have the right price. And Tim, I heard what you said about premiums being an issue for people. But in my opinion, when it comes to selling something, price is usually more of an issue in your mind. And if you don't make it relevant, it's not going to be as relevant to the person as you may think that it is. And everybody's heard me say before, the premium is not the problem, people. The problem that people have is what in the world are they going to do when they have big, huge medical bills. So if somebody thinks they can't afford a couple $100 a month, however much their package of protection may be, what in the world are they going to do if they need a defibrillator? Or if they fall off the roof and shatter a bunch of bones, and they have bills that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, some people in Greeley may want to run down to the ER, get their treatment for free, but then what? They're going to be released from that hospital sooner or later. And then they're just going to be out of luck if they don't already have coverage in place, because it's going to be too late to get them. So keep those 5 elements in mind. Your message always needs to have the right product, the right audience, the right message, the right quantity. Start high, you can always go low, and the right price. So, if you're only offering people a health insurance policy, only offering them a Medigap plan, even the Plan F, there's always gaps in coverage. Even, like I say, even with the Plan F, you can say really covers everything, that it fills in all the gaps with Medicare. What about all the stuff Medicare doesn't cover? Dental expenses, stays in nursing homes beyond 100 days. So let's see the next slide. This slide here, this is me on the day I graduated high school with my 2 sets of grandparents. Go back, please, sorry. My grandmother that's closest to me on my left, a couple couple of years after this photo was taken, she passed away. She had had diabetes for a number of years and wound up with kidney disease. And I hate to say that she spent about the last 19 months of her life confined to a hospital or some sort of assisted living facility. My grandfather had retired from General Motors, and he got a pretty good benefits package that took care of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of her medical bills. But there came a time where those benefits ran out, and he hadn't planned properly and didn't have any additional protection to take care of his beloved wife. So towards the end of her life, we had to move her to a facility that was a whole lot cheaper, and she didn't receive the same quality of care that she had previously received when it was being paid for by somebody else. And she really didn't have a very happy, pleasant end to her life. It had been enough of a struggle for us watching her when she was in the nicer assisted living facility where we wanted her. Once she had to downgrade her quality of care, it was absolutely devastating. It still brings tears to my eyes to think about today. Now, fortunately, my grandfather didn't lose his home throughout the ordeal, but he did drain all of his life savings. And a few years later, he wound up shooting himself in the chest, dealing with grief, because they had not properly planned what they were going to do in a worst case scenario. See the next slide. This is me and my other grandmother. I call her Nana. In 2007, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, which was not really a surprise. She had smoked for about 50 years. The sad part of her story is she got the diagnosis a week after my grandfather passed away. So talk about a double whammy. I had just put my third grandparent in the ground, and I was told that my beloved grandmother wasn't going to be alive 6 months later. That's her about 2 months ago. And that smile on her face, a lot of it's because I'm there. I'm her favorite person in the world. Nobody's ever loved me as much as that woman does. It's an absolute joy to be in the room with her and to feel so much love. But the other part of her smile is just her joy for life. And fortunately, part of the reason she's still alive, she told me when she was diagnosed, cancer was not going to beat her. She is an amazing, positive woman. But another reason she's still alive is my grandfather that we had put in the ground the week before. He was a planner. He made sure that they both had a Medicare Plan F. She had long-term care coverage. She even had a cancer plan because, like I say, she'd been smoking for 50 years. We weren't surprised when she was diagnosed with lung cancer. And because of this coverage that she had in place, not only is she still alive and been able to get all the treatment that she ever needed, but her quality of life really has not diminished. And I got so emotional there a minute ago, and I'm not sure if I even said this or not. One day last year, we were told that she's 100% cancer-free. Don't ever let anybody tell you cancer can't be beat, because it can. That beautiful smile is proof. So I'm going to try to get over my tears and my emotions here and be able to keep moving on. See the next slide, man. 1 in 200 Americans are expected to declare bankruptcy this year. It's 1.5 million people. 2/3 of them, they're going to do it because of medical bills and other costs associated with lost income. The average debt that these people have that are filing bankruptcy is only $11,000. Now, what would you do if you suddenly had an accident or an illness that put you $11,000 in debt after your health plan had paid? Hopefully you're prepared. And preparation takes planning, and it takes having more than just a health insurance policy. So hopefully you have the proper mix of protection for the day that you and your loved ones need it. If not, maybe it's just easier to file bankruptcy and see the debt go away. If you decide that that is the choice that works for you, I've been there. I almost filed bankruptcy before, and I wouldn't have been too proud to do it. I was in a very bad point in my life, and it looked like the easy way out. Fortunately, about a week before I was going to file bankruptcy, I put on the Les Brown video, "You Gotta Be Hungry." And I once again was motivated. I was not going to be somebody that did that. And I went out and I repaired my finances, got my life back in place. We all saw the lovely home that I'm so proud of that I was able to buy a few years ago. But, everybody in this room, I'm not sharing these stories just to make myself cry. And everything that I'm going to be talking in the next few minutes about complete protection and some of the products and proper strategies of covering your future needs, it's not to try to sell you on anything. Hopefully, everybody already has the proper protection in place. But I'll say this. If you're an expert on what you do, and you really believe in the need for having coverage, I hope you got it yourself. And I'm not suggesting that everybody needs to purchase every single product that we have, but you definitely need to make sure that you take a look at all these things that are available. Because it's a whole lot easier to sell somebody something if you can, over the phone or looking them in the eye, say, I believe in this plan and this strategy so much that this is how I protect my own family and my expenses. Maybe they're getting a different health insurance plan. I have my coverage through Humana, even though Humana infuriates me at times. I have an accident plan. I have 2 critical illness policies. I have very affordable term life coverage. And I have some discount vision and dental cards that I use. But ultimately, what you need to protect yourself and your family is up to you. I hope that everybody, when the day comes when you need it, that you've made the proper planning and preparation. If you've done it for yourself, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to talk to others and show them the way. So let's keep on going, please. So this I find to be very interesting. Not the motorcycle. That was a pretty funny image. 70% of Americans think the thing that is most likely to keep them from work would be a serious accident. How many people in this room think that about themselves? 1. What's the next slide say? 90% of all disabilities are caused by illnesses. So if you got people out there that are in the majority and they're thinking that I'm not going to be in an accident anytime soon, or I got my HSA plan, I have my accident coverage too, I got what I need. Statistics don't lie. They're a whole lot more likely to be out of work for an extended period of time because of some sort of illness. Every 34 seconds, almost twice a minute, an American suffers a heart attack. It's a pretty scary statistic if you ask me. Thank goodness 90% of them survive, at least through the first heart attack. Well, I would die sooner or later. Next, please. What about the Big C? Well, this guy right here, he's my friend Clarence Cameron. We call him Big C. He's a great blues singer in Athens. But when most people hear the term Big C, they're not thinking of Clarence, my buddy Alan behind him there. They're thinking about cancer. And cancer all by itself can be incredibly disabling and put people out of work. But the treatments that go along with cancer, things like radiation, chemotherapy, that can make it all but impossible for people to get up and go to work. But the next, not yet, the bottom of this slide, I think, really speaks volumes. The people that have cancer, 66% of the cost that they face are non-medical or indirect bills. Only 34% are actually direct medical costs. You might see some other survey that says that 61% are non-medical. I've seen both as I was preparing for this weekend. So maybe we should say between 61 and 66%. But still, either number that you're using, the majority of the bills associated with this dreaded disease are not direct medical costs. What's the third of the big major critical illnesses? It's a stroke. Boy, this one is going to hit home to me too. This is a true story. Just last week, I was warned by my eye doctor that there was a good chance of me having a stroke in the near future. It's a true story. Didn't slow me down. Not whatsoever. Now, I haven't gone to see my physician yet. I'm going to next week. But I was able to submit a policy for a second critical illness plan. I was able to honestly answer no to all the questions on that application. So I got my coverage on the way. I'm going to pass underwriting. It's another $50,000 at least I'll have to help take care of me in the event that the good Lord does decide that it's time for my heart to stop. Every 40 seconds, somebody in America is having a stroke. It's about 800,000 people a year. Over 600,000 of them, it's the first stroke that they've had. Out of the rest, 30% of people that have a stroke and survive, they wind up having another one. So these problems, as Tim can testify, just because they've happened to you once and you've survived, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. The bills can add up to millions of dollars, and you can still be a victor through life and continue to live, survive, and thrive in this world, just like Tim Holt does. So, this is going to lead me to introducing a new product that we haven't looked at yet. And there's one real exciting thing to me about this GTL. It's called the CHS protection, which stands for cancer, heart attack, or stroke. Anybody that has been around when we've been talking about critical illness, never been anything we had for the Medigap team. Most carriers stop selling it once somebody's 64. This product we're going to look at is available through age 85. So, let's hear what this gentleman right here, Dr. Maurice Bernard, has to say.
Dr. Maurice Barnard, the creator of critical illness insurance, was born in Beaufort West, South Africa. The son of a missionary, he spent most of his childhood in one of the country's most deprived areas. Despite this modest upbringing, his parents taught him and his brother Christian the benefits of knowledge. Both brothers went on to study medicine and became heart surgeons. On the 3rd of December 1967, he assisted his brother Christian in the first human-to-human heart transplant.
How does patient condition now?
Really well. We are doctors and we try to save human beings' lives, and I don't think there's anything special about it.
As a doctor, I diagnose and treat patients. And as I went through medicine over the question of 20, 30 years, I saw tremendous changes, not only in the medical need, but also in the financial needs of our patients. A case that really triggered my ideas was a young divorcee, 34, 2 young children. The X-rays and biopsy confirmed the diagnosis of lung cancer, and we removed her lung. She went home 5 days later, and 3 weeks later she was back at work. 2 years approximately after the operation, she came to me at my consulting rooms, basically dying of pale, exhausted, loss of weight, skin and bone, gasping for breath. And I examined her, and it was pretty obvious that she was now in the terminal stages of cancer. Why should she come to my rooms? You know, she can hardly walk. I can see her. She says, "Doctor, I've come from work." Why was she at work? She needed the money. She needed money to provide for her children and herself rent, food, education. She died a few weeks later, and when she was buried, the life insurance policy paid out. Wouldn't it have been better for her to have the money when we diagnosed cancer? That poor little girl had to work until she basically was dead.
This and many other cases like it made Marius realise there was a need for a new type of insurance, one that paid out on the diagnosis of illness, such as cancer, heart attack and stroke. He shared his vision with an insurance company, which then went on to develop the first critical illness insurance policy.
It's really a marriage between medicine and insurance. I always say we as doctors are the physical doctors. The protection insurance is the financial doctors. If you're ill, the first person you'll go to will be if you have a heart attack, to your physical doctor. But I hope at that stage you've already made provisions so that your financial health is in place. So when your physical goes, that you have financial protection to provide you with that money, which is the promise of insurance and the definition of insurance, to give you money when you need it most.
So everybody knows most people purchase life insurance. You know, they don't want to be a burden to their family after they die. They don't want to leave burial bills, leave their loved ones without money to keep the mortgage paid. But what's more of a burden? Somebody that's dead that left you with no money? Or somebody that's alive that's costing tens of thousands of dollars and maybe pulls you out of work because you have to take care of that individual? To me, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Dr. Bernard was genius. The need for protection when you need it most, there's a whole lot more need when you're still alive and you are diagnosed with one of these dreaded diseases, as they used to be called. We call them critical illness now, but they really are dreaded diseases. So why am I so excited about this GTL product? Because it's the product I've been waiting for. I wanted something that our Medigap team would be able to offer to provide the senior citizens in this country with similar coverage. It's available in 31 states. It's been filed and is waiting for approval in other states. This is a pretty new plan. Since I started looking at it a few weeks ago, it's been approved in a few more states. Unfortunately, it's not available yet in 3 of our biggest states, which really stinks: Florida, Colorado, California. But it's been filed there and it's just waiting for approval. As I said, it's available all the way through age 85. You can even add a return of premium option through age 79. So, how's the coverage work? You actually got a few different options. You can purchase this just as a standalone cancer plan. If you're more worried about a heart attack or a stroke, you can purchase just heart attack and stroke coverage. Or you can purchase a combination of the two. That will cover the 3 major dreaded diseases. So this critical illness policy, it's not like the others that the HSA team knows about, maybe covers 16 to 18 things. It covers the big 3. But really, think about when you talk about critical illness coverage with people, what are the critical illnesses that you bring up? Cancer, heart attack, stroke. So this is going to take care of that for people. It also has a reoccurrence benefit. So unlike Colorado Bankers or some of our other plans, that if you get one of these diseases, your coverage goes away. You can actually get paid out on a heart attack, keep the coverage. If you have another heart attack a year later, you're going to get paid 10% of the benefit. 2 to 3 years later, 25%. 4 years later, 50%. And if you go 5 years free of that particular condition, then you're back to having full face amount of the coverage that you had previously.
Are all 3 illnesses?
Excuse me?
Is that all 3 illnesses?
Yes, sir. Now, if you were paid out for cancer, you wouldn't have to wait to get paid out on a heart attack or stroke. If you had a heart attack the next day, you'd get paid out again. So look at it as 2 separate policies that's merged into one. What other kind of options we got? There's a return of premium rider. Makes the premium go up 25%. And the way that it works, if you live to be the age 85, then you're going to get all of the money back. Unlike the other critical illness plans that we have that are built around the life insurance policy, where you also get the benefit if you die. I guess you don't get the benefit. Your surviving beneficiary would get a big fat check. This is not. It's built around the health chassis, they call it. And it actually enables the rates to be lower than it is on most critical illness plans, because unless you're taking that return of premium rider, if you die before age 85, the insurance company's not paying anything out unless you were diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, or stroke. What's it cost? You know, what does the return of premium benefit do to the cost? If somebody's getting this at age 64, which even the Medigap team, you may be thinking age 65 plus. We looked at some statistics yesterday. 53% of our Medigap leads are people that are not yet 65. They're 64 and they're shopping early. Well, let's get them signed up on this type of coverage before they turn 65 and the premiums go up. So that's the main reason that I used a 64-year-old here. $10,000 benefit cost a 64-year-old $391 a year. If that person had no cancer, heart attack, or stroke in the next 20 years, by the time they turned 85, they would spend $7,800. If we stuck the return of premium on there, price goes to $488 per year, or $97.75 over the course of 20 years. So in that situation, whether the person made it to age 85 without having had any of these conditions or not, they're guaranteed to have come out ahead, because they're going to get $10,000 if they have the return of premium sooner or later. Now, I don't think with somebody younger than 60 that I would really be thinking about adding a return of premium and bumping the cost up 25%. How many policies do people keep 25 years or more? Certainly if we're talking to somebody that's in their 20s, 30s, maybe even 40, they're not going to be worried about getting their money back 45 years from now. They're going to be worried about keeping the premium as low as it can be. A few other optional benefits this plan brings. And just, I didn't mention this earlier, there has been a page put in Central Desktop, a carrier GTL page. It includes all this information, as well as how to quote and apply, which I'm going to get to in a minute. If anybody's worried about intensive care, they can stick a rider on there that'll pay them up to $600 a day when they're in the ICU. Somebody that's 60 to 64, it's only costing $99 a year. And they actually can purchase in units of 150. So if they wanted a smaller benefit, it would be $24.50 per year, $2 a month. Think about some of the Medicare Advantage clients that we deal with that have a 0 premium plan, and they're going to pay a couple $100 a day if they're in the hospital, and they may struggle to come up with that couple $100. Well, for as little as $2 a month, they could have been receiving $150 a day at minimum if they were in the ICU. Next, please. It also has a therapy wellness rider. which I actually stuck this on my application. And I said earlier, I'm going to get up and talk to people about products and suggest it may be something that's a good fit for clients. I better believe in it myself. So this was the application that I submitted just recently. If you have any of these tests done during the course of a year, they're going to pay you $50. And what did it cost me to add this? I paid $20 a year to add this to my coverage. And I'm getting my preventative care test done now. Certainly after the eye doctor warned me that I may be having a stroke sometimes. I would be at the doctor a little more regularly moving forward. But it also covers more. Next, please, Amanda. If you're going and getting any kind of education services, to better manage your health, they'll pay you $50 a year. If you need mental health, they're going to be paying you $50 per session for mental or nervous disorders that you may have received after being diagnosed with a disease. The healthy lifestyle benefit, I didn't really look into that one too much, but basically if you join a smoking cessation, weight loss, or physical fitness program, they'll pay you $25 a year. So you got a gym membership and you go work out, they'll give you $25 a year just for trying to stay healthier. And again, I paid $20 for this, so I'd be ahead $5. I don't have a gym membership. I put on my walking shoes and I walk up and down all the hills of Athens and get all the exercise I need, besides the yoga stretching that I do for my bad back. And then also, if you need therapy for hearing, occupational, physical, or speech, $25 for each day that therapy is needed. So not a bad little optional benefit to put on for $20 a year. It covers even more. They'll one time pay you $75 directly if you're getting education from an accredited practitioner. I'm not even sure what this middle one is. Wiley, are you familiar with that term?
Ameliorative. Yes, I use it all the time.
To ameliorate means to somewhat mitigate, take away that circumstance, so something that would kind of cover, remove the problem.
Okay. So if we keep reading a little further, if you're going and getting acupuncture, massage therapy, biofeedback, or hypnosis to help with that kind of problem, $25 per session. Up to 20 sessions.
Is this prescribed, or are they just want, hey, my back hurts, I want to go for a massage, they gonna pay me $25?
Has to be accredited practitioner.
It has to be an accredited practitioner, and it would need to be on the recommendation of a physician.
Okay. I was gonna say, everybody would go for a massage, we have to pay the policy pay for it.
And then again, a healthy lifestyle benefit, it's $25 per visit, up to 20 visits a year to learn how to quit smoking, Tim Hall. For yoga, meditation, relaxation techniques. This plan is really designed to help encourage people to stay healthy, so they don't have cancer, heart attack, or stroke and get the big check. They'd rather give you a little bitty check and keep getting your premiums because you're still alive and kicking. Let's go next. That's the states that it's available in. There's a whole little chart in Central Desktop. I will point out, even though I'm only talking about this one plan, they have two other similar products that are just older. It's not quite as good of a deal, and it's available in most of the 19 states that this is not in. There's some similar product available.
They don't list Georgia up
Yeah, I don't think that's all 31 states, Amanda. Your update must not have saved when we were working on this.
Georgia, I don't think is listed though.
I applied.
Did you, oh, you applied, well then it's gotta be. I'm wrong. Next.
there. Except if you
Next.
have a picture.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope that this sounds like a plan that everybody can get behind and believe in. It's not as convenient as quoting Colorado for the current GTL critical illness plan. It's not in the Norvax broker office for our HSA agents. So you kind of got to go old school to actually get quotes for this. You need to log into the GTL site. It's going to look kind of like this. And there's, I think, 10 pages of forms, and when they first come up, they're not even alphabetized. If you just click on the description, it will sort things alphabetically, and then it's a whole lot easier to go and find the rate sheet as well as the proper application for the state that individual's in. Next. So how do we quote this plan? We got to do it the good old-fashioned way with a worksheet. And as we can see, basically, that's how you used to quote, wasn't it, Wiley, when you were down in South Georgia? You pull out those rate sheets, and hopefully you have a calculator with you. And I don't know if you can read this, but the rates that we see here, it's per $5,000 worth of coverage. This is if you're getting just cancer. This is if you're getting cancer with the heart attack and stroke, just the heart attack and stroke. And that's the cost of the wellness benefit. So just have one of these little sheets of paper, add it all up, we'll give you the total from there.
Does it give them the opportunity to take monthly instead of annual as well?
Yeah, look, you can pay monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually. The rate does go up a little bit if you're not paying annually, like semi-annual, for example. Instead of cutting the annual premium in half, you're multiplying it by 0.52, so you're paying an extra 2%. Next, please.
Do we have all
Oh yeah, it's all on the GTL page in Central West Bank. Applying the good old-fashioned way, piece of paper. Tim, you can sell this.
I get in trouble, man.
I promise Anna will not call and scream at you if you send us a piece of paper. At least for this. And here's the help questions. You can just skip through all four, maybe stop on the fourth one. It's really not that hard to qualify for. In the past 5 years, has any person to be insured had been diagnosed, received medications, or treated by a medical practitioner for AIDS, leukemia, Hodgkin's disease, malignant melanoma, internal cancer, or had radiation chemotherapy for any of these conditions? Heart attack, heart bypass, angioplasty, angina, or stroke. And for any of the above conditions, which benefits are being applied for, in the past 2 years, has any person been advised to seek medical advice from a medical practitioner, but have you not already done so? Well, that's it, as long as you can say no.
Could I?
Yeah, it's like the knockout questions on United Healthcare with Florida, basically.
Could I buy a cancer policy, Fred? With a heart problem?
Depends.
Any of the above conditions for which benefits are being applied for.
So I could take that plan.
That's right, you could protect yourself from cancer, Tim. What's our next slide, Amanda? So, now this is a list of the major critical illnesses that the full critical illness plans, the Colorado Bankers, the other GTL product that we've been selling. So we can see there's a whole lot of things that's considered to be a critical illness besides just cancer, heart attack, or stroke. I do want to very, very quickly introduce a new full comprehensive critical illness plan. I'm not going to go through it in quite as much detail as I did that one, but I think everybody knows that Vicky's been selling the most life insurance in the company by a good bit. And if you're paying attention to the short list and you're ever looking at any of her critical illness plans, you probably noticed that a lot of them are a company called Assurity. And You've never seen a surety quote, probably. It's not in broker office. We haven't ever talked about it. Vicki actually took the initiative and found the product. I had talked to a surety about it previously, but I was trying to keep everything easy for the team and make it all be within broker office. But a surety definitely has some upside that the other couple of plans don't have. So again, let's go to the next slide, please.
Same thing with Delta Dental. I saw Dawn put a Delta Dental.
I have the application for Tennessee, and I sent it to Judy.
Somebody had, I thought it was Dawn put a Delta Dental in.
We did have Delta.
There's one for Colorado.
I didn't know we could write Delta.
It's
In
only,
Colorado, but every state you have to have your own separate application, you're appointed for Delta Dental.
it's only a handful of states too that they sell individual and not group only coverage. I want to say 7 states maybe. But
Yeah, I tried.
Colorado's one of them. And there's a Delta Dental page in Central Desktop too.
Which is for Colorado.
So for a surety, we can write it for people ages 18 through 64. A key is you can keep it through age 75. So if you're talking to any of those Medigap prospects and they're 64 and maybe they're interested in some sort of critical illness plan that's going to cover more than cancer, heart attack, stroke, maybe they're worried about getting Alzheimer's or having an organ transplant or some of those other 15 things that was on the list earlier, get that application in before that individual turns 65. They can get approved for coverage and they can keep it for the next 10 years. And this product, it's available $5,000 to $50,000. Next, please. How to quote? I would just recommend that everybody, when the convention's over, you're going to have access to all these slides. That quote, that how to quote, will actually be a live link. Click on it, it's going to take you to the Assurity page. I had a username and password. For some reason, it's not working today. So we're going to get that updated. But all you're going to do is log in using the username and password that will be in Central Desktop tonight, tomorrow, whenever you get your answer for me. You're going to download the software. And there's instructions on what you need to do when you download this software. Please read them. Don't be like I always am. And like I was, Vicki knows the story, because she actually had to help me with some of this. I don't read directions to things. I click and I open it up and I expect it to work, or I push a button and the lights magically come on, or whatever it is. I didn't read the instructions on how to use that light switch. But if you try to do that with this program, it's going to look like the program's on your computer, and there's not going to be any rates in there. So just follow through the instructions. It basically tells you to right-click and check something. You got to check some security box or something, and then it allows the rates to go through. And in the name of time, we won't walk through that now. How to apply? This link's going to take you to the instructions. I'll just kind of real quickly verbally walk everybody through. Applying's a little bit easier. It's kind of like we're applying for a regular term life policy. We're using your login to the PJP Easy Quote system. Vicki, I'm going to let you walk everybody through real quickly how to do this, because you got it down better than me. I know you can type it out and you really remember it all right off the top of your head, like you said.
Sure. On how I do it with PJP, sure.
Let's hear it.
Okay. When we go to the apply, the screen's going to open up, and you're going to click on New Clients, and you're going to put in their name, their date of birth, and their state where they live. And then you're going to put in the face value, and it can be from $10,000 on up to $50,000. That's the maximum amount that you can select. You can actually give them 3 different face values to compare. Usually I'll start off with the $10,000 to give them, something minimal to start with. And it could be 20 to 30. I'll ask them sometimes, how much, would they be interested in viewing. I have gone up to $50,000. My most recent client did purchase a $50,000 plan for himself. Then you can populate the information, create it, put it into a nice proposal. It's a PDF that you can send to the clients. When they open it up, it's going to be a real nice, and I think I sent you one of the proposals.
Sure.
It's a real nice proposal with a surety. What they do is they have 3 different tiers for their critical illnesses. It's just not lump sum together. So in tier 1, if they have like cancer, which is paid out at 100%, they're going to get that money, accelerated to them. Tier 2 will be some different category illnesses, well, same thing as in tier 3. The thing with these particular tiers, it's not a one-time usage only thing. Okay, so you can have an illness in critical 1 or tier 1, but yet then later on, you may have a different illness in tier 3, and you're still paying that same amount. Now, obviously, if it's angioplasty, you're only going to get 25%. But, if it's 100% critical illness, you'll be accelerated that 100% within that tier.
The second tier is heart attack or stroke, I believe, and then the third one is all the other stuff, the Alzheimer's, the loss of.
So then what I do then is I save the file to PDF, I send it to them, obviously. When they are ready to do an application itself, then I go to PJP's site, the Easy File, the Easy Application site. I do a regular application as if I'm doing life insurance. Okay? So you're going to put in their state. You're going to put in some erroneous information at first, okay? It'll ask for the face value. I'll just go ahead and keep it at 10,000. That's what I usually do. Put their height and weight, date of birth, all that information in there. You're going to skip, bypass the health analyzer, okay? It will go into a different page asking for their name, information, driver's license, all that great stuff. At the very bottom of the page where it's asking for notes, that's the very most important section where you need to say, this is a $10,000 simplified, a surety balance simplified critical illness. The instructions are on this link whenever you guys view it with Fred. He gives some detailed instructions. That's where with PJP you're going to identify your product. It will then ask, did you supply an illustration? You're going to say yes, because yes, you did supply an illustration, which is your PDF. Then your Outlook or whatever you have will pop up, and they will want you to send an attachment of that PDF to PJP, because it'll automatically populate their email address. They will then attach that PDF to the application, so they know what the product is.
So
And then they contact the client, honestly.
The big appeal of this product versus Colorado Bankers or the GTL that's in broker office is the fact that you can get payouts multiple times. It's not a one and done.
Right. Actually, the premiums for the clients
That's-
is 10 times better than CBL.
Sometimes they are and sometimes they're not.
Really?
I
Okay.
ran probably 20 different scenarios,
Okay.
just testing quotes. And I would say about a third of the time, it was
Okay.
not the best price.
I guess the ones that I had looked at, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me.
It was probably state specific.
Oh.
I did pick all different kinds of states. In Georgia, a surety was actually gonna cost me more than those others.
Mhm. And I like it, because I like the coverage better of what a surety does, giving it multiple, I wouldn't say multiple times, but basically, yes, for them to have coverage for themselves instead of having a plan to only give you a one-time usage.
So it's not quick and easy, like bundling through broker office with the other plans. It's better coverage if you take the time to run a quote, which takes a minute once you have the software on your computer, and you see it's a lot cheaper than Colorado Bankers or GTL, which a lot of times it is. That's kind of a no-brainer. Because a lot of times I hear from some of the people on our team, Fred, we're not selling critical illness because it's cost too much. The clients aren't seeing the value for premium. Well, here's better coverage, better value, 2/3 of the time, a cheaper premium. So I'm hoping, I know that Norvax has been talking to a surety. I don't know if the surety's gonna come to a deal to put them in broker office or not. I don't believe anything these people tell me until I actually see it happen. But it's one more thing that we have in our portfolio that is gonna make it easier for us to offer our clients more coverage than we have been before. not gonna be easier on you to quote, I'm sorry. But if you're helping your clients, which Vicki sold a dozen or so of these to people that otherwise would not have critical illness coverage, and out of those dozen, based on all these statistics we looked at earlier today, odds are good at least 3 or 4 of those people are gonna get a big fat check one day, and they're gonna be thanking Vicki Piper for taking the time to bring up coverage that they probably never heard before. One more reason to talk about critical illness. For the Medigap team, you might want to look at a surety with people that are 64. Though I think the GTL product, they can keep to 85 instead of 75 with this one. It's going to have a whole lot more people. Most people 65 are probably thinking they're going to be alive and kicking more than 10 years out. Okay, a few more facts about critical illness. 76% of the people surveyed last year by Colonial Life Insurance said that critical illness would likely be important to them in the future. That's over 3/4. Only 59% of brokers ever bring it up. I personally think that number's high. I don't know where they got that number from. I don't think 60% of insurance agents out in this country are talking about critical illness. I do believe 3/4 of the population thinks that it might come in handy at some point in time. So what this tells me is the problem is not a lack of need for this product. The problem is a lack of belief in the average insurance agent out there that isn't taking the time to bring it up. Nobody in this room is considered to be an average insurance agent. Even if you're average, we at least call you an advisor. So don't make the mistake of thinking there's not a need for this coverage. If my personal story that I shared with you earlier, which everybody could tell, I assume, from the look on my face, I wasn't making any of that up. That's true, straight from the heart. There isn't. So, anybody know this guy? Well, last month, I went to meet with Wiley over to, you hear this story?
Yeah.
You should have come. I went to meet with Wiley right before the 4th of July, and I got an upgrade on Delta into first class. If you're gonna fly, believe people that you will be put in first class and you won't have to pay for it. It's amazing what you can get out of life when you conceive and believe. Well, this guy was sitting across the aisle from me, right across the aisle. He's huge. I had no idea he was that big, and his eyes glow. They really do. So if you know much about Cal Ripken, he's considered to be the Iron Man of professional sports. Next, please. On September 6, 1995, he played his 2,131st consecutive game, breaking Lou Gehrig's record for most games played that had stood for 56 years. The amazing thing to me isn't just that Kyle showed up for work every day. He played every inning of almost every game for over 15 straight years. And how cool is the graphic that Amanda found to go with this, the autographed stub from that day. Next, please. So, not everybody in life is an Iron Man, that's for sure. And Cal's streak did not stop at 21-31. He actually played 500 more consecutive games and stopped at 26-32. And he finally decided to sit out the very last game of his career in Baltimore. He didn't want to sit out in the last road series of the year. And if you've ever seen the video from when this happened, it's truly remarkable. A young man named Ryan Miner ran out to play third base, Cal's position at the time. He got a little too old to play short, I guess. And nobody in the crowd seemed to really realize it first. And if you were watching at the time, you see Cal in the dugout, and he's kind of all fidgety. He didn't really know what to do with himself. And all of a sudden, slowly, there was a roar that started erupting throughout the stadium because everybody started cheering, acknowledging the end of his streak and his huge, massive accomplishment. And that's why he did it in Baltimore and not, on the road road trip at the end of the year. He wanted the hometown fans that had supported him all that time to be there, to see himself for a change. So when your Iron Man streak ends, no matter what it is, you know, whether it's just your heart quits ticking or the good Lord calls you home, you think you're going to get a big, huge standing ovation like Cal Ripken did? Probably not. You know, even the most loved people in life, very few people get that sort of ovation when it's their time to leave this earth. And that fact was reinforced to me. I'm crying. The day that plane landed in Denver, I turned on my BlackBerry and I was greeted with the news that a dear friend of mine named Greg Moore, who's 2 years younger than me, had just passed away. He had had a massive heart attack at age 43. I had actually talked to Greg about a week before, and I had even talked to him about his health, because he was an overly stressed individual, and he smoked like a fiend. And I brought up critical illness coverage to him, believe it or not. And I said, Greg, you're so stressed, and you smoke, you might have a stroke or a heart attack sometime. He said to me, no, Fred, I'm going to be just fine. I got all the coverage I need. So, and I once again said, Greg, are you sure? Do you have any extra coverage in place if you have a heart attack or a stroke? And he said, oh, Fred, that's not going to happen to me anytime soon. A week later, he left this earth at age 43. He didn't have the financial protection in place that his wife and kids needed. I actually did some fundraising, and I got several $1,000s raised for Greg's family. But it was a far cry from him having taken out this Assurity product and his family getting a $50,000 check. So Greg made one of 5 common mistakes that are made by many in life, including advisors in all walks of life, maybe some in this room, that aren't taking the time to offer more coverage to their clients. He made the mistake of believing he could wait until a better time to apply. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking you can get quality coverage anywhere. We just talked about Assurity and how it's higher quality than the product that we've been offering. No wonder people are selling more than everybody else. She's got better product. Third mistake, believe that you do not need an informed advisor. So this is like mistakes that clients make. I hope that our clients at the very least are hearing from their expert advisor about the need for this kind of protection. Believing that less costly coverage will suffice. The cheapest is not always the best. If you've been told by people that costs too much, or I don't see the value, maybe you need to help that individual realize the premium is not the problem. The problem is, what are you going to do when you have cancer, heart attack, or stroke? What's the last one? Believing that the cheapest is okay. That's just not always the case. So I got one more little video I want to show today, if you pull that up, Amanda. And this is actually from Mutual in Omaha. No. Oh, if it's not queued up, we can do it.
I think it is. I can have it in like 1 second.
Okay. It's a pretty touching story.
Yeah.
We've heard it, I have to say. It's not somebody else. It's going to be somebody you know, if not you.
Who loves you? This is fun? I got you.
to go without falling out? Oh, we can't let go. You gotta hold on. What do you? You do it. I'll just make sure you don't fall. We get you. Come back and see Dad. Where are you? I noticed I was getting tired playing basketball. And it didn't make sense. I was doing everything that you're supposed to do to be healthy. I was eating right, working out, lifting weights. And cancer just doesn't care.
It got to the point where he was not really able to work a full day, and he'd just come home and go to bed.
He called me on August 1st of last year and told me it was leukemia. It did send a little shock through my system that I could physically feel, because they're not talking about someone else, they're talking about you.
You kind of wish it was yourself, though. I could handle a lot better if it had been myself and one of your kids.
We checked into the hospital, I think 5 days later, and I was there for a month. This brings back a lot of memories of how it felt. It feels good not to be in here. It kind of turns my stomach to come back here. Starting the first day, I had intensive chemotherapy treatment. And chemotherapy, basically, they try to kill all the cancer cells without killing you. There were very few days that I felt anywhere close to normal. Very few days. I was unable to do anything probably 70% of the time over those 7 8 months. I mean, I'm unable to take care of myself. Definitely unable to work.
You think that you're immune to it because you're, mid-30s and you're young, and you don't think that you're going to be hit with something so catastrophic in your family. And when it does hit you, it's just something that just takes you for a ride.
Especially early on, when you don't know if you're going to make it through it alive or anything. I spent a lot of, may sound a little corny, but I got up a lot of nights and stood right here and looked in the mirror and looked at myself and tried to see if I had what it took to make it through it. I made it through somehow.
Your blood counts are fantastic. I mean, it's a treatment that we've once again got some significant improvements in the last 20 to 30 years, where frankly 20 to 30 years ago very few people survived the disease. Now we can offer real hope and long-term cure.
It was a long haul. There's no score, there's no awards, it's just you live through it, and that's reward enough.
It's not cheap to get sick. Hospital bills are very expensive. We knew that we could rely on critical illness to carry us through.
It can really devastate you financially. I know that if I didn't have this coverage, we wouldn't be in this house right now. My wife would be working. My kids would be in daycare, which is not what we want for them. We would be in an apartment. We would have probably a great amount of debt.
Without it, we'd be in a financial crisis, definitely. With it, there's peace of mind. There's no stress, and Lord knows you have enough stress when you have an illness in your family.
Because I had the critical illness insurance, because I planned just a few months and spent a few dollars, instead of telling Judy to go get a job so we don't lose our house, don't lose everything we've worked hard to acquire. I took her and the kids, my 5-year-old, 3-year-old, to Disney World, and we just had a great time. And the kids will always have that memory, no matter what happens.
It was a great relief to me that knowing that this promise provided him and his family with security for a long time. A lot of sad things that got a good ending. This has got a good ending to it.
For 7 or 8 months, I did very little. I want to make up for that time, and I want to enjoy every day.
Very touching.
It was a GTO contract ended 85.
Normally, I would have done
So
Effect.
once you hit 85, you're done? Or does it continue?
I think it's 75. isn't it? I'd have to look.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because your surety ends at 75.
Well, yeah.
So the GTO
Valuable
would
for
be
you
more
to
for
do your
each
shirt stuff.
agency.
Trying to get big or.
But I didn't know once you were 85.
I think the detail goes to 85, I think that's what
More Mediterranean since when? Dang. I have a very
It's tough. I mean, I presented it.
Sometimes.
Keep trying though.
I know, what presentations do you want tomorrow? I know it's on HRA.
HRA.
What's that?
Well done, sir.
It's done.
I've been in the insurance
And-
industry. You may want to listen to that.
Well, thanks.
It's pretty damn good, I think, you know?
That's what I'm doing. Productivity.
Productivity.
That's right, and I don't think I've done that one yet.
Okay, and I may have a few more
Oh,
adds to
that's the
that.
thing, you gotta tell them.
Yeah.
end at 85?
I'll see if I can look at it before we go to dinner.
That'd be
See, I'm not
great.
up till 3 in the morning.
That'd be great, if that's possible.
Okay.
If not, it will get done either way.
Okay. Smart man. But it's, good job.
Thank you, thank you very much. I'm glad I could help.
I guess you look at that product too.
The premiums I'm paying,
All right, Jim.
well, at that time it was 40.
Okay, that does sound a little high.
Yeah, yeah. And they give me $100 each year for going to the doctor and getting, so, yeah, but yeah, I'll be glad to look at you. Yeah, I believe it, so.
If you're paying for it, you should believe in it. Whew, I'm glad I got through that. That really got to me more than I had planned for.